Can we talk for a minute about our Integrating Heart and Mind workshop?
Absolutely. I'm excited. It's coming up in the fall of 2024.
I'm so excited. We changed the format to make it more accessible to people with like work schedules and personal schedules. And so this time we're going to do it 3 hours on a Friday afternoon or evening, depending on where you're at, and 5 hours on Saturday for 2 different weeks in September.
Yeah, it's so great. Like if you're finding yourself stuck in like sticky bad patterns or having communication issues or something like that, or if you want to just like get closer and trust yourself or your partner more, this is the workshop for you.
Yeah, and individuals are welcome, couples are welcome. If you're interested in really thinking through how to serve yourself well inside of your relationships, then we've built a workshop that will support you in finding the ways that are just right for you.
To sign up, head over to our website at whydoesmypartner.com/events.
We hope you'll join us. Welcome to the Why Doesn't My Partner podcast.
I'm Jules.
I'm Vicky.
And I'm Rebecca. We're your hosts. We're also couples therapists and messy humans bumbling through our own relationships every day.
We met through our training and practice of relational life therapy. Between us, we have more than 40 years of experience holding hard relational questions with our clients. We're going to bring those questions here.
And together, we're going to take a stab at answering those questions. This podcast is not a substitute for therapy. If something you hear in this episode stirs something deep within you about your relationship, reach out to a couples therapist in your area.
We'd also love to hear your questions, so don't forget to go over to whydoesmypartner.com and leave us a question of your own. Here's today's question. Why isn't my partner the same as when I met them?
Oh my God, I love those questions so
because
they were wooing you.
Well, yeah, there's that.
And you got wooed. It worked.
It worked. True.
I also, I don't know. We grow, we mature, right? Like I am not the same person I was when I met my partner. Not at all. And I'm so grateful for that.
Mm-hmm. And there are moments throughout, I'm thinking of my personal partnership right now, but there are moments where you're going to change in a way that looks like growth. And there are going to be moments where you're going to change in a way that looks like not growth. So I'm thinking about like when we had our baby, we have one child. She was a high need kid. She still is. And there's lots of fun in that and great in that. And oh boy.
Oh boy.
Our marriage didn't have a lot of time for it. Our marriage suddenly, was I showing up in the kind of way I had prior to child? And did that look really relationally supportive all the time? You know what? It did not. And so I'm thinking about, there's one thing you can count on in this life, only one thing. No, that's not true. I guess there are three things because there are death and taxes. There's one other thing that is more important than either of those other two. And that is change.
I was just going to say, I've been listening to Jules enough that answer is change.
That answer is change.
Star student.
Yes, exactly. So change is the only thing that's inevitable. So are we the same person or do people change? That answer is easy. You're going to change and a lot, and you're not going to know it half the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't look like change moment to moment as much, but are you going to change over a lifetime? The research is in on this, actually. It's really solid. We're lucky because we have some countries on this planet that do a lot of sociological study of their peoples. Not so much in the US, but when you look at big healthcare places and the people who have these kind of systems, we have some really solid data on this. You can give a personality test and you can give it throughout the lifespan, and people cannot figure out who's who in blind comparison. You cannot match it. Why? Because the people are changing so much that there is no way over a 10-year period. So they split these things 10 years apart. So if you gave 1 year to year, you'd be able to match it. Yeah, totally. But if you look at somebody at the age 40 and somebody at age 50, you're not going to be able to code them as the same human.
So what's coming to my mind is Esther Perel's quote of everyone gets 2 to 3 marriages in their lifetime. And if you're lucky, they're with the same person.
Exactly.
Because we're on our at least second or third. It is the same person. But we are not the same people we were 15 years ago.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's second or third, but we're definitely on our second or third marriage.
Oh, yeah. And you're going to have another couple before you're done.
Yeah, exactly.
On this earth. Yeah, totally. And so, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'm, speaking of quotes, I'm going to quote Octavia Butler. All that you touch, you change. All that you change changes you. The only lasting truth is change.
I love that. Totally. And there's a lovely study. It's a sociological study, and they go through these people and they're asking the same. So it's a longevity study. They're tracking the same humans. And they asked this human at 40 if they're different than they were at 30. And the person at 40 says, yeah, man, I'm super different. But now that I finally know myself, I feel like I've landed. You track that person at 50 and you ask them the same exact question. They go, yeah, when I was 40, I really didn't know what I was doing. But now I've really come into myself. Now that I finally know myself, I feel like, yes, this is it. And you ask them at 60, guess what happens? Same. So the truth is that Octavia Butler is right.
I'm thinking, what is it? That longitudinal study. It's like one of the longest studies of men, of white affluent men, but of men. That Harvard study, one of the big things I got from reading about it was that over the lifetime, as they track these people, what they really find is one of the things that changes people is relationship.
Yes.
And relationship not only changes people, but also changes their relationship to their memories.
Yes.
I knew that. I've not heard of that study.
Yeah,
okay.
Totally. Yep. So what we're saying then is, of course, your partner is different than when you met them because 1, change is the only constant. And 2, because they're in relationship with you. And so they've changed. Because you've changed them.
You haven't ruined them, but you're like what is it, Jules? It's the rivers in the rain, right? You
Right. Totally. Yeah. So here's my metaphor for how it works neurologically. So there's a lot of neuroscience behind what I'm about to say, but the metaphor makes it easy to understand. So here's my metaphor for it. So the self is actually a thing that's true and real and exists, but it's also in a flow. So it's changing constantly, moment to moment. So think of the self instead of like a fixed, like solid thing. Think of it like a river. Now, the river is a real thing. The river actually exists. And when I stand at the edge of the valley and I look down at the valley and I look at that river, I could look at it and go, yep, that's a thing. That's a thing that exists. And there it is. And then I could come back 20 years later and the banks of that river would change. But if I came back tomorrow, it would look like exactly the same river. And if you want to know how this happens, all you got to do is walk all the way down and stick your hand in the flow of the river. And what you will see is that this river is in constant motion and that energy and information flow that we're calling water for now, right, is in motion through the mind and is becoming itself every moment, a new moment, right? And over 20 years, all that flow is going to change that. And what you listen to, like us right now, for example, is rain falling into your river. And what kind of environment do you create for yourself? What kind of rain? What kind of drought? What kind of space do you want your river to inhabit? Well, man, what you listen to, who you interact with, it changes you.
We are what we consume.
Yeah, so we can have an enormous amount of influence over how those riverbanks move based on what rain we ask to come in. And so when we're with our partners, these long-term people who we see day in, day out, in these 5-minute little interchanges, man, we're in this amazing space where we can create this relationship that is, according to the Harvard study, going to change us in dramatic ways, which is not incorrect. It's exactly right. We could create a space that rains on our river in a way that helps it stay really healthy and shift in ways that we actually could grow more or could chill more or have peace more.
Have you guys seen, like, I have a little internal jumping up and down right now. Have you guys seen the live action movie, The Jungle Book?
No.
No.
Okay. So you need to.
Okay.
Really good movie, and totally going to ruin it. So, shoot.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. So, because there's something about a river at the end. That's when, and it is a spoiler alert. Sorry. That, there's a fire going and there's
Go
a
watch this
riverbank.
movie. I read it for you before you do.
I don't want to stop talking now. I'm so excited. And all the animals are working together. And in this last scene, it's not the last scene of the movie, but it's near the end. The elephants are tipping over trees and moving other foliage around to shift the trajectory of the river to get the fire to be put out.
Yeah.
So Jules, I'm hearing your
We
story
can
and I'm
do
thinking
that.
it's not just rain, it's every bit of our environment is going to shift
Everything.
that flow and
So
how it
I-
all goes together.
Totally. This is why I'm thoughtful about what I'm looking at on social media.
Yeah.
This is why I'm thoughtful about
So
who
true.
I'm surrounding myself with and what books I'm reading and do I want this kind of energy to enter into this flow that's
Yeah.
constantly becoming itself. So can we talk
I'm just
about
sitting. I'm just sitting
yeah.
with those words, those last words. That's constantly becoming itself.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So can I tell you a cool thing that we can put into our rivers that helps a lot?
Yes.
Okay. So this lady, Mel Robbins, is a motivational speaker. And I heard about this from her, but when I heard about it, and I read her book, by the way, and it's a lovely book. I like it a lot. And the science I'm about to tell you is not in her book because I heard her say this thing and I went, oh, you know why that's going to work. Oh my gosh. I was so
Because that's the way Jules' brain works.
because
Jules
it's even
knows brain
cooler.
science.
It's so good what she said, and it's even cooler than what she said. Okay. So she calls it the high five habit. And here's all it is wake up in the morning and go to the mirror and high five yourself in the mirror. And now, what does a high five mean, ladies?
You're awesome. Well done.
You got this.
You can do
I was
hard
just gonna
things.
say, like, we agree with something. Yeah, like
Yeah.
we're on the same page.
Same page. It's all about courage. It's about working hard. It's about you're amazing. It's about I see you.
It's about having each other's back. It's about
Totally.
yeah.
Guess which part of you knows that? It's like your shoulder and your wrist and your hand. So there's this part of the brain called the basal ganglia that sits right in the middle of your brain, and it's in charge of psychomotor movement. So when there's a movement that has a psychological meaning behind it, the basal ganglia is in charge of creating that. So what's really cool, a little cool thing you could rain on your river, start it tomorrow, is you could look at yourself in the mirror, and before you even have a thought, you can give yourself a high five. And what you're going to do is you're going to lock that psychomotor movement knowing to your face. What? And even better than that, this part of your brain has a ton of exchange of energy with something called your default mode network, which is all day long when you're not actually doing something going, how am I doing? Who are you? Do people like you? Are you okay? Just like hanging out, wondering how you're doing, daydreams for you and all of that. But most of its job is just to go like, how am I? Have you ever had a conversation where like you were at a party or something and then you like ended up ruminating on like some exchange you had with somebody and like, was I like cool or not? Or like, Was that okay? Did I embarrass myself?
my
Right?
God.
Too much. Did I take over the conversation?
Totally. That is your default mode network at
Yeah.
work. Okay. So what happens if you put a high five into your default mode network?
I
You're
might just
awesome.
blow my mind.
You might just blow your mind. So what you can do,
Like that would mess with the dialogue that says things like, why the heck did you're so, why
Yes.
would you, it's
Yeah.
going to
Yes.
mess with that.
it messes with it. And we want to do that because what you can do is support yourself to do hard things. And so, and even if you are in like the most freaking depressed place, get up, go to the mirror and high five yourself because you can do hard things.
I love
You can
this.
do hard things. I love that quote.
So yeah, that's Glennon Doyle, by the way.
Mhm.
I stole that one from her. So this lady says this thing, and I love that she did. She has a huge following. Thank God she's spreading the word about this thing. But I heard it and went, oh my gosh, guys, we have to get people to high five themselves in the mirror because it turns out everybody has a mirror face. So there's another Harvard study that found out that people have this mirror face where they look at themselves in the mirror and they shift their face really fast in like a little microsecond to look less bad, which means the second
We do it in Zoom too, by the way.
Totally. So the second you look at yourself in the mirror, you already know there's something I don't like about me, but then you match that with a high five and you just exploded your mind. What?
Because those two can't exist simultaneously.
Totally. And I have been doing it now for about 4 months. And I got to tell you, it's good rain.
So I got to tell you
It's
what I'm
shifting
doing.
my river.
I'm trying super hard, but I keep forgetting in the morning. So I'm going to bed with my high fives.
I love it. Do it then too.
I'm like, oh, I forgot my high five again. All right, do it now.
It's cool. It doesn't have to be in the morning. It doesn't have
So-
to be in the morning.
Whenever we remember. I just set a
Yeah.
reminder in my phone to do it. Well, I set a reminder, an alarm in my phone for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday morning at 7:00 in the morning. So
I love it. I love it.
We
Yeah,
start
it could
tomorrow,
just
'cause I
be
forgot
that you
too.
walked by a mirror and you went like that. Now, one of two things is going to happen when you do this. You're either going to laugh and feel really silly, or you're going to hate it. And if you hate it, loves, you really need this rain.
So here's our challenge to you.
Mm.
Create a high five habit. High five yourself every day.
set a reminder in your phone.
All right. Take care of each other best you can, guys.
Bye-bye.
See you next week.
That wraps up this week's episode. Join us again next week for another Why Does My Partner?
We hope that you continue to listen wherever you get your audio and that you'll follow the show.
To go deeper, join us at our boot camp. You'll find the next date at whydoesmypartner.com.
Did you know you could ask us your question?
Your questions are relational gold.
Go to whydoesmypartner.com to either write in or record your question for a future episode.